What does it mean to build a career when no existing category fits you? My guest today was born in Africa, raised in England, and built her life in India. She came out as gay at 17, survived losing everything in her 20s, and arrived in Goa with nothing but a backpack and taste. She started selling compilation tapes at flea markets. 25 years later, she is the mother of Electronica. This isn't just a DJ story. This is a story about survival, identity, and what happens when you refuse every box the world tries to put you in. Welcome to the Vic Fix. I am Vic and this is Faiza.
Hey Vic, feels great to be here.
Finally, I'm glad that we managed to make this happen.
Yes, and we've met many times. Yeah, but this is a new avatar.
Yeah,
I'm getting to share another story with you.
Absolutely.
Usually it's musical.
Yeah. Your great-grandfather was the PM of Zanzibar,
Correct.
And he was knighted twice by Queen Victoria. Your father was a lawyer and you ended up managing a Texaco.
Well, you really dive deep into my little archive of everything I've done.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happened between these two versions of the family story?
Good question. I don't know that anyone's ever asked me in that particular variation of that question. I think there's something similar actually in terms of I think my own growth has been wanting to change something or be myself, be authentic, not knowing what that was until I settled in my own skin. And also I have a lust for trying everything. I'm just like, try it, do everything.
Right.
I find it very fascinating learning. Okay, coming from having a great-grandfather who was a prime minister, but he arrived in Africa, in Zanzibar, he arrived as a stowaway on a boat. So I think it's about resilience. And my father, he was born in Tanzania, but he became a lawyer in England. So, I think it's about, he was the first of his family to come to the UK.
Right.
And he led a whole pathway for cousins and family to also study in the UK. So I think it's about maybe pushing boundaries.
Absolutely.
And maybe not still believing in what you want to do and not following a path that's already been walked,
Amazing. Yeah. It runs
I think
deep,
it's a little
deep in
similar,
the roots. Yeah.
Now I've got a purple sequin jacket. I don't think my dad wore that or my great-great-grandfather. But I think, the essence is this is, coming from maybe nothing and from challenges and being who you are authentically and having a dream and wanting to take the path less taken.
We also know that you were the only brown kid in a school of around 1,800 people.
Yeah, that was definitely challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in the UK at my generation, I'm 56, so I'm talking about in the 80s, when I was a teenager in England, it was quite tough. And, it was fit in or fuck off.
Right.
And, being of ethnic origins and especially Indian origins, it was definitely challenging in the areas that I lived, which were very, very white dominated areas.
Yeah. Where were you based?
I was outside of London in Surrey.
Oh, in
so
Surrey.
It was very kind of white, middle class. In fact, the village, we lived in a small village. I grew up in London till I was 12. And then we shifted to this little village in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And it was all white, even the village. They didn't even have an Indian takeaway for the first 10 years I lived there. So imagine in England, Indian food is really big, but it was so white and so small that, it was, I think for me, very challenging.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and we're, 1.6 billion brown people. And I'm definitely happier here.
You sang tenor in a choir in the
You've
Royal.
really dug deep.
Of
I'm
course.
so impressed. No one's ever asked me anything. No one knows any of this shit. You've got all the, oh my God. I don't know what cobwebs are going to come out
No,
of
there's
the
quite
closet.
a bit.
Okay, but you're right. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So you sang tenor in a choir in the Royal Albert Hall.
Indeed.
At the age of 10.
Yeah.
You were the only girl who was singing a boy's part.
Yeah.
Right?
What a lower voice, because many women don't have that tone of voice. So I was singing a part because I can have quite a low voice.
Yeah.
So I was able to hit those. I felt comfortable in that zone, and it was unusual then, possibly less, even now when I go to any singing groups, I tend to be the only female who can, it's usually a men's part, yeah. If we're talking about genders, yes.
And that was the first time you ever refused a box.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah?
I think that was, if you describe it that way. I've never actually thought about it that way. I've probably refused boxes way earlier than that. I was a very headstrong child. You know, I would just do what I wanted. You tell me anything, I'd be like, beat me, do whatever. I'm going to do this. So I think I've always been very strong-willed. But I think that's also, if you look at my history, ancestry, I guess that's strong-willed. It's no, those are even in terms of me being queer, it wasn't legal when I came out in the UK.
Right.
It's still not legal here. It's decriminalized. But I've just always, even though it was illegal, I was still like, no, I'm doing nothing wrong. Love is love. This is who I am. I'm not taking the shame of that's being forced onto me. I don't want to take that because I don't feel any shame.
Right.
So for me, it's about being comfortable with who I am. And even if the world says it's illegal, if that's what I believe in, I will stand by that, no matter what the consequence is. And I think that's given me a lot of power in terms of not
shaping
giving
the
up.
core of your soul.
Yes, not giving up. So what, even musically, no one wanted to hear what I played in the beginning. Everybody was listening to Barbie Girl when I first started DJing. And as soon as I came with my alternative music, which I picked up in the UK, I was booed off stages. I remember one gig where they came to lynch me off the stage. Like, they were like, boo, boo. And then the dance floor went from Barbie Girl, 2,000 people, to nobody in one track. Like my first track. Forget murdered. It was like, it was dead. There was like a grave in first track because they didn't want to hear it.
Right.
India wasn't ready. People didn't understand. But everyone was like, Ma, play Bollywood, I was like, no, do Be My Faiza, London. I'm like, no. No, it'll take me 10 years more. I know this music is so powerful. It's going to change people's lives. It's going to shape a generation. It's going to ask people to think differently. It has, these frequencies are very powerful in terms of shaping who you are. And I didn't want to do anything else but that. So I think I didn't let even what experiences I had define me. I was like, okay, take it on the chin. I'm not compromising who I am
And
to
what
fit
you believe
in,
in.
to be successful or to get somewhere. Even if it's not successful, that was my truth.
We know that you came to India at 23 to find your roots. Yeah,
absolutely.
But you're British born, of African origin.
African born, British passport.
Yeah.
Indian origin.
With Gujarati Kachi parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which roots were you looking for?
Good question. I think because I was so British.
Yeah.
Because I had to be.
Yeah.
If I was really Indian in the world that I was living in and in the place that I was in, like physically and just everything, I had to be very British. So I think for me, I didn't speak Indian languages. I didn't eat Indian food.
Right.
I was kind of very British. I kind of even thought when people ask me, who are you? I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm British. But, now if anyone asks me, I'm like, oh no, I'm Indian. So I think that's what I was looking for. I didn't really understand my Indianness.
Right.
And when I came to India, I just fell in love with India. I recognized so many aspects of who I am that I couldn't see in the people around me in the UK.
Yeah.
But I could see here, and they were really aspects that I really enjoyed about myself and being in that environment, you know? So actually it was a journey of discovery of myself. And there's so many bits of me, but I think I'd pushed down the Indian because of racism, because being first generation immigrant. So for me, it was a complete 360.
Right.
You know? If I see most of my family, I'm from all of my family, and I have hundreds of cousins because I have a very big family. I'm the only one living in India.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have family here. So
Right.
my parents are here now, but so for me, it's like they're very British. Like if you see me and my sister, she was born there in England.
Yeah.
She comes to India. She's like, sis, it's fucking mad. I don't know how you live there. We're sisters.
Yeah.
But look at the difference. So I'm so happy that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and who I am has definitely resonated more with India than in the UK. But everywhere I go, I feel like I don't belong. So it's kind of a feeling. Even here, I don't belong here.
Right.
I just open my mouth and you already know I'm not from here. I go to England and I feel like, I don't really know. But I spent a lot of time in Germany. I've been going to Germany for 25 years, and I really know Germany and German people and the culture and so many things, the music, what moves people, you know. I even know some German. So, but is it, it's still not, I'm not from there. So everywhere I go, I'm like, I'm from another planet. Yeah. And then that feels okay with me. Yeah. I'm from somewhere at least. Yeah.
You fell in love with electronic music at Megatropolis in London.
Yes. Yeah?
Then you landed in Goa in 1993. And you thought that the music at the parties was horrible. And then you started making your own tapes.
Yes.
So take us back to that.
So what originally happened is I came to India for 6 months to just go around India on my own at 23. It was like my journey with myself, your gap year, however you describe it, year of discovery. And so when I was coming, I took all the music that I loved on CDs and I put them on tapes, and I came with a Walkman and a couple of speakers. And then I just played them all the time. And those tapes were like my best friends. They were with me everywhere, even though I didn't know anyone, didn't know the language. India was pretty mad 33 years ago, and traveling by bus on the top of the bus, getting lost, getting this, oh my God, you know, it was a whole journey. That was what I played. And while I was doing that, I would meet people from all over the world, and they'd be like, oh God, I really like the music, or the music, or can you play what you play? Who's playing music? Or someone would come and go, I heard this music, or and I was like, oh, okay, it seemed to resonate. And it kind of brought people together, and that music had changed my life. So I was like, okay. And then I was at Goa Flea Market, and the tapes there that they were selling were really bad quality, really horrible, dark music, like, I was just like, no, I need to come with next year. I'm going to come and I'm going to bring my tapes and I'm going to sell my tapes here because I think that music needs to be here. It was just a bit of fun. I didn't think about, I'm going to make $1 million and I'm going to turn into a DJ. Come on. It was just so innocent.
Right.
I'll make some tapes. If I sell them, I'll stay in Goa for a few months. The tapes, if whatever money I make is a bonus. And then I'll go traveling for another 3 months the next year after doing the 6 months. So that's what I did.
And then you came back the following year?
Every year. So I go back to London, see my family, you know, pick up new music, see friends, spend the summer there, and then come back in like October, November, and stay till I would have my birthday in the mountains in Mohali. So then I'd go there June, and then so July, August, September, 3 months I'd come back for. Each time it got shorter and shorter, but in the beginning it was 6 months.
Okay.
Every week when I started selling the tapes, every single flea market on a Wednesday, I would sell out. And I could only make like 30 tapes because you had to physically, and there were so many power cuts.
Yeah.
You'd be recording, power off, you'd be like, oh God, go back to the beginning when the power, push play and record. And you could only do one tape at a time.
Right. Yeah, right.
I'd spend the whole week making those 30 tapes, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, it really resonated. People found themselves within that. You know, there was a story that people could access, I guess.
Yeah. At what point did, whatever you're doing, at what point did it stop being survival and it became a calling?
I think somehow I would describe it as a calling always, because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know why I was doing it. There was no master plan. I didn't think really hard about anything. I just did it. So it was like it happened. You know, so I think that's also a calling. It happened, you know. It was, I don't know whether it was that, but I would say I'm really hard to have consistent. I get bored really easily. I always thought about what am I going to do for a job. Like when I came to India the first time, when I was 23, it was also about what am I going to do with my life. Like, you know, I failed at my A levels. I'm never good at studies. Highly intelligent. But I don't like the study structure. I like life experiences. That's how I learn, you know. And I like reading, and I like, I like exchanging ideas with people. I don't know.
And that's also because, you wanted to study arts when you were young. But then
my father kind of pushed me towards really boring subjects. I don't think I was allowed to be me. So then whatever I felt, I just acted upon it. I just did it. I didn't say no to myself, because that's what I'd spent my childhood kind of doing, trying to fit into the box of what my parents wanted me to be and what England wanted me to be. And so this was about who am I? And because I get bored quite quickly, I kind of dive into something and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, okay, done that. All right, now next, you know? So I was always like, what am I going to do for a job? Like people had normal jobs that were really boring. And I was like, no, I don't think, So I tried many, 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 many things. And then I do that. And then I'm like, forever. Don't think I want to do this. Oh, I don't know. So this whole thing was, it seemed to fit that, okay, it's not a job, but I'm doing something. And I don't know how it even came to be. So
it
which
just
is
worked
why,
itself on
it's
its
a
own.
calling. Even being a DJ, there was no plan. Like people would say, I remember a few people saying, you're the DJ. In the beginning, I'd be like, no, I'm not a DJ. I'm somebody who plays other people's music. And I sell the music on tape, or CD, so you can buy the music from me, and I'm playing you the tracks so that I can sell you the music, right? So I'm not really a DJ, because I wasn't doing it. I was just fading in, fading out. I didn't even think I was worthy of that title DJ, and I didn't. In my head, a DJ was somebody else, something else, you know. Yes, my tapes were stories. I was a storyteller, but DJ. So, and there wasn't really a job profile of a DJ in those days.
You're right.
Ask Ivan the same question. We're just making up as we go along.
You're right.
There's no blueprint. Now there's a fucking game plan and a blueprint and everything's kind of there. It's been done. There's already a
set path.
You know? So it was I didn't even have a dream. I didn't have a dream of any of this. This has not been my dream. As things happened and things were accessed to me and things evolved and things had their own life. Maybe I nudged things in a direction. Maybe I thought maybe this could happen, but there was no big kind of plan. Frankly, I still don't know if I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm just, the day goes, life passes, the gig happens. You know, many times we credit ourselves with all of it, but actually somehow it's the universe, in that moment.
Bringing things together. You were there before Goa became a brand. What did the scene look like before money arrived?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. I mean, I wasn't there in the 70s, so I really missed the naked guys dancing on the beach. We weren't, I was already there in 93. So, whoa. I mean, in terms of vibe, mainly foreigners, very few Indian people. Maybe some little forest somewhere, maybe on the beach somewhere, because there weren't places. So everything, there was always, in those days, it was an empty place. So you'd go to, do you know, I've even forgotten the names of them now, but Shiva Valley, before it was Shiva Valley, it was something else. It would just be a load of trees on the beach, some fluoro paint powder has been put there. There was nothing there. A couple of speakers brought in, some black light, some hangings, if you were lucky, of some batik, blah, 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 or someone's done some really shitty, like, fluoro. And that's, at max, in the early days, not even that. Some chai mamas, like 3, you know, and that's it. So it wasn't about, there wasn't a bar, there wasn't a place, there wasn't people walking around selling water or, you know, that's it. You know, some beers people buy, but it wasn't, there was nothing set up. There was no place. Even if you went to 9 Bar in those days, it was just an open space. And Ramdas with the bar, and that was it. It wasn't even, it was just him and a table and selling his some alcohol. I mean, it was just, it was, and even then you could only buy a beer. You know? So it was about bringing people together. It was definitely people from all over the world. It was about community. It was about this music that made you dance. It was so, like, people would come dressed in whatever. There was no Gucci and you know, Gucci in Goa. It was no one came in heels. People didn't even have shoes. People were barefoot, most of them. Even me, I used to ride my motorbike barefoot. I mean, they were days, you know what I mean? It was like no rules. We'd watch sunset, we'd see sunrise. For me too, even in those days, the music was a bit hard. So it's only when I started DJing that I feel like I had an impact where I brought this kind of more melodic, uplifting, feminine but powerful, and a little bit of ethnic. Otherwise, for me, it was also it was mainly psychedelic music in those days, but it was quite hard. I would call that kind of, you know, Goa Gill, night music. Like, and that for me is not the type of music that I like. I'm not interested in darkness. And I even when I look at floors in the dark with that dark music, nothing about it attracts me. The frequencies, the energy of the people, the dancing tends to be kind of a bit more just, you know, when you go to places where, you know, some of the BPMs are 200 BPM, I'm just like, that for me is so fast. It's so, I need this. For me, music is also the space, the silence between is part of the music. And when there's not much silence, I feel like that doesn't give me space to breathe or to process the frequencies, you know. And for me at that time, the music was a bit hard. So whilst I like the community bit of it and some bits, that's why I was like, oh no, the music I'm listening to needs to be here. So I did it my way by selling the music, all illegally. And the only name on there was Trippy Vibes, Faiza. There was no track list. It was a fluoro cover. I wasn't, you know, maybe it had a track from Enigma on it, one of them in a. But I didn't put that. So you never knew what was on it, but it had a story. It had a menu of like emotions. Uplifting, positive. I in the end I had 76 CDs, 70 different stories. 70 different styles of music. So there would be drum and bass, there would be trip hop, there was kind of more sacred, Celtic, Middle Eastern, there would be like house, there'd be psy-trance, there'd be really ambient but more meditational, there'd be music for yoga, there'd be sacred chants, there was I just did all
So you
these
would listen to a lot of music and then make these mixtapes,
yeah,
right?
so what would happen is, it's so funny, like I label my music by emotions. Sometimes a word comes or a feeling or a track comes and I'm like, okay, this track, this
the
word.
emotion that evokes.
Yeah, or this word that's come up for me. Like I did this, the tapes would have all these names like Tantra Sonic or Funkadelic or Ethno Psychedelia or Trippy Vibes or Earthwhirl or maybe I'd find a CD and it had a track or there was something where a name, a word would come to me and I'd be like, okay, this music is for this purpose. So then I would listen and then I would be like, oh, that track fits that story.
Right.
So that's how I always did it. And when I describe them with emotion. So it's kind of like, yeah, this will, you know, when you've come home from party and you just want to put something on, or maybe you could even sleep to this, or this is great to have a massage to, or this is for making love, or this one, which was Summer Love. Everyone loved the Summer Love series. They were like women singing vocal songs, but really like powerful and uplifting, but also soft and sensitive. And so many people were like, oh my God, you know, they make love to that, you know? So that I'd be like, okay, that's great for making love. This is great for meditating. This is great. You really want to dance, or you to warm up before you go to the party, you can put this. So it was more about, I think, more emotions. It wasn't about the name of the track. No one asked me. It
didn't matter.
It didn't, even people were like, what style of music? And I'd be like, okay, I tell you what, you tell me one track you love. Tell me the name or the artist of the track.
Yeah.
Just one track that really moves you, or give me two. Now you give me those two. I'll find you
I'll give
50
you another.
that I know that if you like that frequency or you like that, then you're going to like this, even though you've probably never heard that style of music before.
Right.
Also, I'm not coming from the mind.
Right.
If it's the mind, it's going to be a very different performance, I think. Like, I remember I did a performance at Sunburn. I had a final set, last set, closing set, and I wanted to do something different. So I said to Nikhil, he was like, listen, you just come, you DJ. I was like, no, Nick, I'm done with that. I want to do something live. So I asked Premik Jolly, and Anushka Manchanda. I said to them, please, let's do something. You sing, you can do synth, let's put together something live. We had to be in rehearsals. I had to pull all the tracks I was going to play. That was the hardest thing for me, to stick to a script. Because when I go to a gig, I don't even, maybe I know first track.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't even know that. In the old days, I would need to know the first 2 or 3 tracks, just as a kind of crutch, like, oh my God, because I don't know at least the first track. Now I'm just like, I'll figure, I'll go. I want to go 2 hours before the gig. I want to hear what other people are playing. I want to see what the vibration is. I want to see what the space brings me. What is it bringing to me? How am I feeling? And I want to go from there. Because if I come from my mind of what I imagine this is, you're going to be so far wrong. And if you go with a prepared set, which I really don't do, because I don't work well in that space, if I have to play what I said I would play, I'll die. Because when I go there, it's not that at all. The space is giving me something else. The sound system is telling me something else. The audience is telling me something else. In that moment, I'm present right there. I'm not my idea of what it's going to be. Because that doesn't work well for me. And so I had to mix where I said I was going to mix. I could only play what we'd worked on because someone's singing on it, someone's playing your guitar, live guitar on it, someone's doing synths on it. You can't fuck that up. Hardest job for me. I was so anxious because it's not it's just not where I express from.
You have said that you're not psy-trance, right? Your sound is different.
let's say it's more the melodic side. I don't like dark, I don't like terror trance, I don't like death trance, I don't like voodoo trance, I don't like tsunami trance, I don't like forest trance, I don't like any of that. It's all too, I don't like this high tech, I love melodies, but not cheesy.
So in a scene that loves labels, you know,
what kind of music do I play? What would I describe it as? That's why I'd rather say, even people ask me, what do you play? Everywhere I go, they're like, you're a DJ, so what do you play? And I'm like, I play uplifting, positive, happy, powerful,
music.
Ethnic infused, electronic music at various BPMs. So it can be from ambient to all the way up to psy-trance is what I would say. But my idea of psy-trance is not other people's idea. See, I never want to put a label. I meet people all the time that are like, what do you play? And then even they'll ask me, what do you mean by that? And then I'm like, you know what? I've got a SoundCloud page. Or why don't you tell me, what do you like?
Right.
And so I just flip it because I'm just like, you know, to describe, you're only going to take a different interpretation of what genres I've just told you.
Right.
Because you've come from maybe a different generation than I am. So you don't know what I mean by psy-trance.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as you do box yourself in, getting out of that box is quite hard.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like people, for example, who... Nasha, super success with Flute Fantasy Dub, one of his biggest tracks, kind of defined who he was. That poor guy, every time he fucking played, and he used to make the big bucks. In the old days, he was the guy who was making, you know, on a New Year's, that guy could print money, right? And playing, always had to play that track.
Right.
You see who he is now, his favorite music is bass music. Even in those days, I know him 30 years. And he used to come to my stall and say to me, you know what I really love about you is that you're just free to just make whatever tapes you want and you play whatever you want. But me, I made this track and now I have to make all this music that's similar to that track. And I don't really like that track, that music. I just got lucky and then I've had to play this till I die when actually I'm into like massive bass sounds.
Right.
But I can't play that. I can't because this is how I make money. So I always thought, wow, I'm in such a beautiful place because I've not defined what I do. Like it's my Faiza.
Yeah.
You don't really know. Same on the tape. It's just my Faiza. There'll be a name. Maybe that name might give you something. And if I tell you what's on it, I'll be like, yeah, it's ambient. You could sleep to it. You could meditate to it. You could, it's got, you know, electronic bits. There's some ethnic bits. I could describe it like that.
Yeah.
But not the genre. And then I don't want to be defined by genre. Like people ask me, in the end, if you force me, they'll be like, most people will say like, so kind of like techno. And I'd just be like, okay, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, okay. Because
they don't get it.
Like techno, if that's so far away from, I currently right now, but it's even, if I'm playing techno, I feel like it's got really psychedelic elements in it.
I'm gonna cut this part out as a video and send it to you. So the next time someone asks you, just airdrop them the video.
There's the video. Yeah. Because that's the first thing people ask you.
Yeah, you're right.
Does it matter what I play? I play music that makes you feel good. You're gonna come out and you're gonna feel energized. You're gonna dance, even if you've never heard that genre before. It's energy.
Right. You have played to 50,000 people in Mexico.
Yeah.
After an 86-piece orchestra.
Indeed.
You have also played house parties by a lake in Goa. Which one is harder?
Oof. You know, energy brings energy, which makes energy by itself after a while. So the bigger the place, whilst it's incredibly, I've played in front of 100,000 people, 80,000 people at Boom Festival. Also those audiences, I mean, for me, and I can only talk about my own experience, you know, for other people, maybe it's nothing for them to be in stages in front of all these people. For me, it's been a journey that I've had to kind of get more and more and more comfortable in my own skin, you know, which I wasn't when I was a child. So it's been maybe let's say not a harder journey than anybody else, but it's been a hard journey for me. you know?
Right.
I think comparison is the thief of joy. So I can only talk about my journey. So going on big stages, goosebumps. Like I remember Boom going on the stage and be like, oh my God, and my heart beating, and I'm just like, I'm terrified. I'm like, how am I gonna? Oh my God, in front of all these people, what if I fuck it up? And what if the music's shit? And oh my God, I'm in Boom Festival, I'm the only Indian, and I don't know. And every day I'd go on the stage and I'd be like, and I was playing on the 7th day of a 10-day festival. So I was like, okay. It was terrifying. But the energy of the crowd, because once they move, the energy fills the energy. So it's not just me anymore. It's the decoration. It's the impact of the people. It's the people feeding themselves and the people feeding the people. It's no longer me.
Right.
So the bigger the stage, I think the more
energy to tap into.
Yeah. And the more energy it can flow from the other people, from you, from the place, because nothing is singular. We're all connected.
Right.
So even but a small place is very intimate.
Yeah.
So, you get a different connection.
Right.
It's not so big. Like in a big crowd, you very rarely can look at everybody. You'll just connect with a couple of people.
Yeah.
When it's like a 15-people party, you know everyone on the dance floor and you can look at them.
Yeah.
You don't feel, I sometimes feel, I see even recently I was at Goa Boot Camp doing some mentoring and watching DJs as they perform, very new DJs. And just watching them and seeing, it's very hard when you're new to actually look at the crowd because you're vulnerable and it's almost like you're naked.
Yeah.
And
you're very conscious.
You're very conscious and it's easier to look down or it's easier to look away or it's easier to look at, especially if you have a laptop.
Yeah.
But when they're a smaller party, you can connect, so you give a little bit more of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think with smaller events too, if things are not going well, I have to give a really big part of myself. So let's say I'm at a party, there's less people there, the space is too big, and of course it's very hard not to internalize any party that goes wrong. The first person you're going to blame, is myself. And I have to be like, babe, come on. I'm like, oh my God, it's over. My career's over. My Faiza's done. Oh no. Oh God, they're paying me. No one came. Why didn't they come? It's raining. What other events are on? Like you process it all because I want the crowd to be happy. I want the promoter to be happy. I want the club to be happy or the event to be happy. And I want to be happy.
Right.
That's my perfect scenario. Any one of those things is a bit off and I already feel like, oh no, I don't know, no.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the place is half empty, I have to really dig deep in myself and just give as much energy as I can to sustain the energy.
Yeah.
So I think, the smaller events, it's more intimate, you can connect, you can give more of yourself because you're less intimidated.
Right.
But you also have to work a little bit harder to sustain that. Whereas a big event, the bigger it is, I feel like the less you actually have to do.
Right.
Because the energy of everything is so large that it, you have to really go up there and fuck it up. Like really badly. If I go on a big stage still today and I'm nearly 30 years in.
And that's amazing because it shows that, that nervousness is
I care.
Still there.
And then I care.
Yeah.
Second, I don't take it for granted that I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thirdly, I never say I'm like the best DJ or whatever. I'm not. I'm winging it. I'm just showing up with everything I've got. I'm trying to have a great time and I want to give as much of myself as I can. And it's that simple. And I do that with everything, be it cooking, be it everything I do. I don't know how to do a bad job. I don't know how to not give all of myself. It's something I just don't know how to do. I show up with everything I have or I don't show up at all.
You came out at 17. Yeah. Your parents cut you off for a decade. Your mother now tours with you.
Well, she did. Now she's a bit older, but she did. She used to do back to back.
She used to tour. Yeah. So, what did that reconciliation actually cost you on both sides?
Whew. I think for their side, it was more about letting go of an idea of who they thought I was or who they thought they wanted me to be, and trusting. They had to trust that whatever morals or principles they'd instilled in me were there. It just was in a different wrapper. So I wasn't going to look like how they wanted. I wasn't going to dress like how they wanted. I wasn't going to have the life that they would want. But the core of who I am, they had to trust that they'd done a great job as parents, even if the wrapper was maybe not what they wanted, you know? Because it's just a wrapper, isn't it?
Right.
It's about your heart. Who are you on the inside?
Yeah.
Does it really matter if you've got short hair and you know, I'm a woman who loves women.
Right.
How kind are you? What do you put out in the universe?
Exactly.
What's your heart?
Yeah.
I think the rest is quite irrelevant. And I think as I get older, I see it more and more, the irrelevance of what we think is important. Because actually, from your journey, life journey, you'll see as you get older, the journey is within. We spend our whole lives about put it out, we're
external
out.
validation.
Yeah.
You're right.
And actually the journey has always been within. And you can avoid it, have midlife crisis. But at some point, there's the journey within. If by God's grace, you're still alive. Because maybe you didn't do any of that and you died early.
You're right.
But if you, by God's grace, have been given time on this planet, at some point you will have the journey within. So you see, actually, the journey within is the most important journey.
You're right. You were the only openly queer DJ in India for years. But you have also said that your sexuality has nothing to do with your work.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you hold both of these at once?
How are they both true?
Yeah.
Because I'm me, I'm queer, I'm a woman who loves women, but I don't think that defines musically, and nor is it the biggest part of me. I have so many facets. You know, the fact that I love another woman, I mean, it's like saying, okay, I've got brown eyes. And, you know, it's just one facet of who I am. It's not the biggest thing. Who I love the universe. I love plants. I love animals. I love food. I love chocolate. I love reading. I love many things. Okay, but does that one thing, the loving of that one thing, define me? No. I think it's part of my story.
Right.
It definitely has a layer to who I am.
It's not the full story.
Absolutely not. Probably not even every part of me is the full story, because it's constantly evolving. And if it wasn't, kill me now. I think we are a sum of all your parts, and your parts are constantly changing. If you're open to living this very kind of fluid life of constantly growing, you know.
You have spoken about a time in your life when things got very dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's been a few of those times, but yes.
Yeah. What was the moment that made you choose to stay?
Whew. I think with one of them, it wasn't even a choice. I just didn't die. So it wasn't even by choice. I had actually tried to kill myself. And there was a moment in time and space for a few days when I could have died, and I just didn't. And then when I didn't die, I was like, okay, fuck, I'm still alive, which means now I could look at it as I even failed at that. But it was like, okay, there was another plan for me, because I didn't die. And I could have died. Anyway, we can die every second. Right now could be your last breath. We're only one breath away from death. Every moment.
Yeah.
So then it gave me a kind of, not a purpose, but realizing, okay, now I've got no other option to live. Not in fear of ever dying, because somehow in my head I already died. But I didn't die. But I killed something. But this didn't die. But something died, no? Maybe I don't know how, that's a very big answer to your question. So I don't know that because I didn't die, I didn't have any other choice but say, all right, now, like it or not, I've got to live because now I didn't die. I don't know, does that make sense?
No, it does. It does.
So then I'm like, I really had to live.
Right.
And then I lived with even more like, I don't give a fuck because I'm dead anyway, or I should have been dead. So now I'm alive. Yeah. So really now, I'm not hiding. There's no holding me back. Yeah. There's nothing to stop me. And I think if we could, many of us as humans, if we could get to that space without actually killing ourselves, but go through something which can take us through that to kill something metaphorically.
You're right.
I think it could free us to really live our lives.
You're absolutely
because that's been my experience.
You're absolutely right.
I feel like it's extra time.
Yeah.
So now live it.
You have been doing this now for 25 plus years without a major label, without a viral hit, without a Spotify strategy. Is that freedom, or has the industry structurally failed artists like you?
Good question. I think I wasn't so bothered about money or fame, or I didn't want to be limited to a genre. I didn't want to be stuck in front of a computer. I want to live my life. I want to be in nature. I want to have people. You have to see what time does what and what are your priorities. And I think my priorities were just maybe a bit different. So I do think as women, the industry definitely fails women, I would say, and that needs to change. But I think I need to take responsibility for where I got. Right. And I never had I didn't have you got to remember, it wasn't a dream, and I didn't have an agenda, and there wasn't a goal. Yeah. I'm winging it. I'm winging it right fucking now. Yeah. I'm just winging it. Yeah. No, like you said, no record. Right. I'm not even from India. Yeah. I don't speak Hindi. I'm queer. I look like this. I've not released a hit. I've not been in a Bollywood movie. I'm not on TV. I have a small little record label, okay, but I didn't really release anything. It's just, however, I'm like, good blag. How I got to here, like, well done. Yeah. I'm proud of myself without the accolades or the DJ awards or the record label or the hit. I'm just so proud. And I think I'm more proud that I didn't sell my principles. I just lived my truth. Yeah. Even if that truth continued to change, which I embrace.
It's an evolving. Yeah. You play Indore, Raipur, Bilaspur, cities most DJs won't touch. Why?
Because I think it's a duty to go and give back to scenes which are very small, because that's where you can have the most. I don't mean any way in a DJ or whatever way, but musically an impact, and you can bring something to people which could be life-changing for them. Because I think the music that I play, those frequencies, I would hope leave you with a message that anything's possible, or a different community that you could be joined. It would define the way you dress and define, who the people are around you and what you do for your job. So I think it's quite transformative. So I think it's like my call to action is to go to the most, Cherrapunji or Jaisalmer or Ranchi or Bhopal or Bilaspur. They're quite small. They're of course tier 3 cities. You know. And so I feel honor bound that's where it's like I'm doing God's work. Like a preacher, I'm going to all the tiny little places and going there and bringing this. I'm hoping I'm bringing the light. Right. And in Bombay, whether I play or not, I think it doesn't matter, but those small cities are really, and also many of the people that call me to those small cities have experienced me in other cities and they want me to come there. Right. And I feel like that's really powerful because that starts a whole community.
You're right.
You know, and even some of those flights, I take 3 flights to get there. or I travel 16 hours to go there.
Yeah.
And I put in so much effort that people don't see, but I feel like that's part of sowing the seeds of change.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where maximum transformation can happen.
You say you're not a commercial person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have sustained a commercial career for 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say I started making money only in the last 10 years, 15 years. Otherwise, I just survived. And I had to do lots of other things to make my money. I'd buy a flashing light. I sell a flashing light. I'd buy a mini disc player in Holland for this price. I'd come to India. I'd find somebody who wants to buy it. I'd sell that. So I'd kind of have to always have something to help me sustain. I would say the last money I've made is in the last 10 years. That's what also gave me the fire.
Right.
Like if things are too easy, especially for me, I don't feel like I appreciate them. The struggle is the gain.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to struggle every moment, but that's where the most gains are in myself, not this.
Yeah. You battle stage consciousness, and yet you're known as one of the most dynamic performers on stage. What does it cost you each time when you step behind the decks?
It costs me everything. So I give everything I've ever learned until that moment. I give 100% of myself, even if I'm in crisis. Means I'm sick, I'm broken, I'm emotionally fatigued, I'm unhappy. Maybe I have a joyless, like my cat died. For 20 years, I had this beautiful cat, Tiger. She died. I had 3 gigs. They were the hardest gigs. I've done gigs with ear infection, gigs with stitches in the back of my head, gigs where I've projectile vomited until the doctor came and gave me this, and then I went to the gig. I've had a few of those. I've had gigs where I can't tell you physically, but when you've got no joy and you're broken emotionally, they were really hard.
Yeah.
So, but I would say most of my gigs, I have to show up with everything. And I don't know, like I said before, I don't know how to do it any other way. Many times I equate myself to like a boxer who's just won the boxing match and it's like, yeah. And the fans are like, yeah, and you've got the belt and you're like, and you go to the room and you're in the shower on the floor and you're like, and everything aches. And that's kind of how it is, like on some of the gigs. I give everything I've got, and if I'm giving a lot, usually it means I have to, because somehow something's wrong. The sound's not good. Haven't found my flow. There's less people. So if I'm going really crazy, it's because I feel like right now I've just got to give more and more and more and more, because it's not where I want it to be.
You're right. Yeah.
And then when it gets where I want to be, okay, maybe I can like, and I sit down, I can't even get up. There's so many of the gigs, I don't sit down at the gig because I'm like, I can't stand up. I've just done 27,000 steps. Like my KitKat gig in Berlin, it's a 7 or 8 hour gig. My last time I did 49,000 steps. And my trainer, I was like, my back was really hurting next day, Andrew. And he was like, Ma, even if I did that, I would ache. Like, you're asking a lot from your body, you know? 49,000 steps in one shot. So only I know, or you know, only we know. DJing can give you such a gift, which is you have to be present. You've got no other option. I mean, okay, unless you've got pre-recorded or you've practiced or you're playing a set you've done. I'm saying I have to be present. When you're going by the fly, anything can happen. You're present, you're fully present there. And I think that's a great gift, because it means I can bring that same presence and that same totality that I've trained myself in DJing to be fully present there, read the crowd, hear the sound. If one speaker goes off, I'll know. I'll be like, sound's changed. Can you just check the speaker? Something's changed, because I'm fully present. Or something's wrong. That speaker is now, but only I can hear it but I can hear the change because I'm present. I have to do a pivot musically. I was going here, but that track didn't more. I don't know, I'll try one more track. Oh, no, okay, I'm going to change that track. I'm fully present. Oh my God, there's a person there with a drink. No, put your drink there. Oh God, the player now is not doing it. Call the sound guy. You got to be fucking fully present.
Right. Yeah.
And people are pushing you from the back, going, Ma, drink. And you're just like, no, it's cool. You got to be really present there.
Omnipresent actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant gift that you can bring to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because I tend to do that. Like, I'm very focused on one thing. Like, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I'm fully
Focused,
here with you.
Yeah.
Right. So I bring myself to it fully.
Yeah.
And I think DJing has helped me make that an art.
Yeah. By your own definition, success is quality of life and peace. A rich person has all the time in the world. Are you rich?
I wouldn't even use the word rich. I'd say I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy because I have autonomy, freedom. I can choose what I do. Like, I've never had an agency. I have a real problem with someone saying, you must do this. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
If I must, I already have my rebellion button has been triggered.
Right.
And if you're telling me I must do it, then I must not do it. You're telling me I must not do it. I must do it. Yeah. So I think, I think freedom for me is wealth. Health is wealth.
Yeah.
I think having agency and autonomy over your life is wealth. And yes, having time, whatever you do with that time.
Right.
Yeah. Pick it mindfully. Yeah. Like, now I realize I'm 56. Maybe I'm lucky I get to 80. That's 24 years. That's 24 more summers. Just 24 more of them. So time, as you get older, gets more precious.
You're right.
So then what do you do with it? In the beginning, you can squander it. You can fritter it away. Time means nothing. You've got loads more, even though you don't know that you have.
Right.
But you think you have because life is so long. But I think as you get older, you realize that your time's very short.
Yeah,
so
right.
the more time you have to do whatever or do nothing or to do something or to live your life in the way you wish to without it being, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to, but it's more like, I wish to do this. I think that's also wealth.
Very well put. Very well put. Ma, now we are going into the rapid fire section.
Okay, rapid fire.
First record you ever brought?
Sooty and Sweep.
Wow.
It was storytelling, narrated with these puppets, and they traveled the world, and it had some songs in it.
Psy-trance or house? One for the rest of your life.
Oh God, if I had to pick, there's too many versions of psy-trance which are too hard, but there's too much cheap, tacky house music. So, okay, house, because you could make a psy-trance version of it. But you couldn't really make a housey psy-trance.
Best thing about DJing at 3 a.m.?
When you don't know it's 3 a.m. When you don't, like when you sometimes you look and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's that time. Or, because it just was, you were so in it that time meant nothing.
Vinyl, mini disc or USB? Which format had the most soul?
Well, it'd have to be vinyl because you touch that, you literally touch it. USB is so disconnected. You are so far away and it's all digital, the sound. I mean, at every point, I mean, it just doesn't compare. It's like saying, I don't know. Yeah, the comparison's not worthy.
Yeah. Goa in the 90s, one word.
Wild.
Club or beach party?
Oh, beach party.
Yeah.
Outdoors, indoors, give me outdoors anytime. I sleep outdoors. I have a bed outside. So I think there was 15 years of my life where I just slept outdoors. I go to all these fancy hotels, amazing rooms. They give me a suite. You can't even open the fucking window in the hotel. It's sealed shut if you're on the top floor.
Right.
Because they're worried you're going to kill yourself, right? You're a jumper. So they seal them all, or you have to go get a key, and the key is like just so you can open the, And I always think that hotel room, didn't matter what it cost. I'm in a room with artificial air.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and sleep under the sky. I'm going to sleep under the stars, and the air will be my breeze. You know, I'm in air, and I just think that's priceless.
Yeah.
Even though people will go for the, you know, 1 lakh a night suite with the, which is okay, great for one night, but I always know I'm going home and I'm going to sleep outside.
Yeah. Track you have played the most and the one track you never want to play again?
It's probably the same track, isn't it? In all probability, no?
Yeah.
But a track that I really, really had to play for many years was Come to India, because that's what I played at Sunburn.
Right.
Even when I put it in my ideas folder for Sunburn 2009, I was like, this track I know is going to define the whole set. So I knew that it would be really powerful. What I do a lot of the time is when I'm listening to music is I will imagine playing it. So I'll actually close my eyes, listen to the music, especially in the build-ups. And when it comes back in, or the drops, you know, I close my eyes and I picture me DJing at wherever place I'm imagining.
Right.
That was Sunburn. I kind of closed my eyes and I was like, you know what, this track is just going to define that whole set. It's gonna, and I get goosebumps imagining what will happen, you know. And many times, I'd say 80% of when I imagine those moments, they happen.
They happen. Yeah.
So that was a track. Indra, Come to India was the name of the track. It was by Indra, and it was Deidre Pest remix version of it. And I actually contacted Indra to tell him I was playing at this festival, and I'd asked him, it's so funny, the name of your track is Come to India. Have you ever been to India? He said, no. I said, you know what? I'm sure this track, you'll end up coming to India. Which is so funny, because that's the name of the track.
Right. Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
So I haven't played it for a few years, but after Sunburn, every fucking gig.
Yeah.
And you play it once, they're like, play it again. I was like, oh my God, no. The fact that there's a track that you can ask me for that I might play is already a problem.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't do requests. And as soon as someone requests one, it's an avalanche.
You're right. The best dance floor you have ever seen, where and when?
Okay, Boom Festival, just by the very massiveness of it, and it was the biggest crowd at that time, and the stage was electric, and the sound and the decor was just floating in the wind, and there was dust from where everyone stopped. I don't know, it was just very, if I look back on it, it's like almost like a film. It's a movie, you know. Okay, I played at the Dead Sea in Israel, which is the lowest place on the planet.
You're right. Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, this was an incredible location. It was, just the people, the energy, the people couldn't get in, and then they managed to get in, and there was like 20,000 Israelis, and they were like, it was like full energy. And I remember I was on the top of this triangle that they'd made stage, and they had 3 stages. So you had the live acts who were on the main stage, and they had a lot of space, but the DJ who was on the top was just enough for them, and you had to climb up a ladder to the top, and there was just you and the console at the tip of a really elevated. And I don't know, and just so I was there by myself in this thing with the wind blowing, because I'm really quite high up, and this huge crowd that were just like giving everything that they had. That was quite powerful.
Something your mom has said about your career that stuck.
My mum, I remember saying to her, Mum, I think I can do this, and it's going to take me maybe a decade, because I looked, you know, if you see even a David Guetta or an Armin Van Buuren, if you look at any of them, if you look in the DJ magazine, I remember buying one issue. I probably still have the issue because I kept them all. it said how long they'd been a DJ. And I could see it's an average of between 10 and 15 years before a DJ gets to anywhere, even those guys, you know.
Right.
So I was like, oh God, wow. So if I am going to do this DJ thing, then it's going to take time, you know. And so I said to my mum, you know, I believe I can do this. I think in 10 years, I can call myself a DJ, and I think I can do this. And my mum said, yeah, you know what? I believe in you, and I believe you can do it, you know. And I've never forgotten that. Like,
awesome.
Even when I said, if everything goes wrong and I've made a wrong decision and it all goes tits up, I can just come home, can't I? And she said, yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So, because, you know, you think you're all in. And like, when I decided to shift to India, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I've just made this decision. I'm sending everything I have to India, and I'm now going to live there. And if it all goes wrong, what am I going to do? Am I burning my bridges? Have I fucked it up if it all goes wrong? And my mum said, no, do everything. Even now, she's like, you know what? Just live your life. Do everything. Which I don't know. She told me that when I was a child. But I think the experience of having me as her child has turned her into that person, because she can see that every time I did that,
you're gone ahead and got what you wanted.
Yes. Yeah. Even though if I didn't know that was what I wanted. Yeah.
If music disappeared tomorrow, what would you do instead?
Music can never disappear. Your heartbeat is music. Everything is music. AC is music. The birds are there. There's never really silence. And if there is silence, it's just a short time between other frequencies. Look, you have a button on every light that lights up. There's always music. Come on, you know, you come out of a club, you come out of a party. If you've been there long enough, you come out, there's no music, but you can still hear the music in your ears.
Yeah. The one thing about India that still surprises you after 30 years?
I'd say accessing people's heart. It's still a country where you can talk to a person and they can relate to you as a human to a human, not the job, not your money, not what they're supposed to do, not even the rules, that you can touch someone's heart. And it's a bit easier, I think, than other countries. And I think many people are very in their heart. And I really like that, because it encourages me all the time to be in mine, because that's where I want to reside.
Right.
I'd rather reside there than here.
What did surviving teach you that success never could?
Resilience, belief, never giving up, so determination, endurance, gratitude, self-reliance. Yeah, I think there's probably a few more things that I can't think of, but those things. You know, the easy route, there's no easy route, and the easy route in the end is going to cost you, because there's nothing easy. And if it was easy, then it didn't challenge you. And if it didn't challenge you, then you didn't grow. And if you didn't grow, then you're stuck. And if you didn't suffer even a little bit, if it didn't cost you something, then it actually has no value.
If the girl from the Texaco station could see you now, what would she say?
Wow, baby. Wow. That's what she was saying.
Finish this sentence. Ma Faiza is
fucking awesome.
The Vic Fix. Why did you say yes?
I actually reached out to Rafi. I saw some of your podcasts before he came on, and then I saw him and I was like, Rafi, like, I just thought you asked interesting questions. I thought they were really well done. And even I can say to you now, some of the questions you've asked, I've not even asked myself. And that means I learned something about myself today. You made me think. You made me step outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I saw in the episodes that I saw.
Yeah.
You know? And
thanks,
no, I mean that.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you can go, I've done a lot of interviews and they just cut and paste. They'll be like, okay, what's your favorite track? And when did you start DJing? But you asked some shit that even I've forgotten,
Right.
and you were bang accurate. And I want to say I'm really grateful and thank you, because you made me think, which is beautiful. You you gave me questions which were challenging for me to even answer because I hadn't thought of them, which is food for my own growth and my own thoughts, rather than judging, oh, you didn't even think of that yourself. I'd rather say, wow, what an opportunity to now give it a thought. Okay, I didn't think about it before. But now, that's, it's a very interesting question. So, that's why. So I really appreciate you having me, actually.
What I take away from this conversation is something that goes beyond music, beyond DJing, beyond any scene. Faiza's story is proof that the people who change culture are really the people who fit into it. They are the ones selling tapes when no one's looking, the ones singing tenor when they are told to sing soprano, the ones who choose honesty over safety again and again until the world catches up. From Zanzibar to London to Goa to Pune, from a Texaco petrol station to 50,000 people in Mexico, from 96 tablets in a dark room to a mother who now tours with her daughter. That's not a DJ career. That's a life lived on your own terms. And that's everything. Ma, thank you for showing us that the people who don't fit in any room are usually the ones who build the rooms that we want to be in. Thank you for coming on The Big Fix.
Thank you. That's such a beautiful way to describe it. No, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Just in terms of really deep, respectful, kind, interesting. I mean, you really had to dig deep for these, which you put a lot of energy in. And I hope that I've honoured the questions that you asked by at least being as honest as I am in this moment. Maybe the answers would be different on another day, but I really appreciate it. It's been one of the best interviews.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Respect and really thank you so much for coming to The Big Fix. And guys, if this conversation resonates with you, do share it to someone who would benefit from this. And until next time, stay fixed.
Stay fixed. No broken.